But what they did in the election, what they did in even the last election, but it was too big to rig. But what they did in the 2020 election is grotesque. I mean, that was a rigged election. Poll numbers were 71%. I have the best poll numbers. Look,
those are among Republicans. You know, the commissioner doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together. And there's no way that it could have been, that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. These are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a big leap to go to rigged. And
oh, that's gonna hurt!
Okay, so for anyone that is keeping count, the poll numbers, yep, fake. The job numbers that were perfectly fine just 2 months ago, now fake. The election, not the one in 2016 that he won or 2024 that he won, but the one in 2020 that he lost, fake. Are you sensing a trend here?
Okay, we can't relitigate that. We can't relitigate that.
No, we're back to rigging again. Well, you can use it because everyone knows.
Yeah, we are.
You know what? A year ago, you would have been upset if I said it. Today, it's different. I say it all the time. It was a rigged election. It was 100% rigged.
We can't relitigate because it.
And I'm sure that's going to be brought up.
Independent sources, even your Justice Department. But then I'm bringing up Bill Barr. But even they decided that there were things that happened, but nothing that would have swayed it.
In today's episode of Don't Look Up, Part 2, the Epstein files, President Trump ironically took a stroll on the White House roof, forcing people to look up at him as he broke out into a spontaneous YMCA dance and took questions, yelling incoherently.
Are you going to build up?
But back down here on Earth, I wanted to highlight an interview he conducted earlier on oftentimes Trump-coddling CNBC, where he was just laughed at and fact-checked live after claiming that the job numbers were cooked and that he has, quote, the best poll numbers he's ever had. The president faced off with Squawk Box host Joe Kernan, a host that oftentimes goes to bat for the president, but he even couldn't stomach the snake oil today after Trump began repeating debunked claims that he won the presidential election 5 years ago. To the point that Kernan just couldn't help but laugh, likely due to the fact that producers were probably screaming something to the tune of, do not humor this insanity, Fox are still selling merch to pay off the $700+ million they owe for enabling it.
You've talked about you want success, not retribution. The Justice Department now tapping a grand jury to look into the intelligence community's assessment of what was happening with Russia. Is that, you have nothing to do with directing the Justice Department?
No, I have nothing to do. Pam is doing a great job. I have nothing to do with it. I will tell you this, they deserve it. I was happy to hear it. I actually read it just like you did. I have nothing to do with it. But what they did in the election, what they did in even the last election, but it was too big to rig. But what they did in the 2020 election is grotesque. I mean, that was a rigged election, 100%.
Okay, we can't relitigate that. We can't relitigate that.
No, we're back to rigging again. Well, you can use it because everyone knows.
Yeah, we are.
You know what? A year ago, you would have been upset if I said it. Today, it's different. I say it all the time. It was a rigged election. It was 100% rigged.
We can't relitigate because it.
And I'm sure that's going to be brought up.
Independent sources, even your Justice Department. But then I'm bringing up Bill Barr. But even they decided that there were things that happened, but nothing that would have swayed it.
Well, they were wrong, and Bill Barr was wrong, and Bill Barr didn't investigate, and he should have. And why didn't Bill Barr give why didn't he give the Derma report? Why didn't he give that report? The stuff that's in there, that's all this stuff is coming out of it. Why didn't he give it earlier? I mean, why did it take so long to do it? And why didn't he give it? Why didn't they announce it earlier? Because it morphed. What happened is it morphed into the Biden administration, and the Biden administration buried it. So, it's too bad.
But when the conversation pivoted to more rigged numbers, meaning anything that the president disapproves of, he was again challenged. Now, this comes after Trump axed Dr. Erica McIntyre, the nation's top labor statistician, after she, basically did her job. To the point that, again, Trump coddling Kernan called it a big leap to use the term rigged, describing the job numbers.
Elaine Chao was on yesterday, and I know, she was, I think she was labor secretary for 8 years under Bush II, and she was your transportation secretary as well. And she said, the commissioner doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together. And there's no way that it could have been, that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. And these are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a big leap to go to rigged. And then it also, Mr. President, it makes anyone you pick is going to be, critics are going to say, hey, he's picking a guy that's going to give him or a gal that's giving him the numbers that he wants. So it undermines confidence in the system to some extent. You had, according to many people, all the rights in the world to try to replace a commissioner when hasn't gotten any better. But that is maybe a bridge too far, according to most people.
Well, I think when somebody says the commissioner is not involved, I don't want to get into any arguments with anybody. Why should I? She's a very nice woman.
Exactly.
But when they say that that nobody was involved, that it wasn't political, give me a break. Look, before the election, I had this massive outflow of beauty for Biden. I mean, he didn't know he was alive. And for Biden, the economy was roaring. It was a beautiful thing. And I said, there's no way this is happening. It's going the opposite direction. And 2 weeks later, they said I was right. But even if you look at the original, the ones from the other day, the numbers were very timid. And then they announced something that made them even more timid on top of it. On sort of a reporting day, I don't know why, it just seemed a little bit more important than most times when they announced these numbers.
We talked earlier that
in rounding out the calamity, the president claimed that he's enjoying the best polling of his life, despite the publication of several terrible polls over the last few weeks, to the point that even Fox News viewers are disapproving of everything Donald Trump is doing across the board.
I have the best poll numbers I've ever had.
Among
I
Republicans.
have poll numbers where I'm 71%. I have the best poll numbers. Look,
those are among Republicans.
No. Among Republicans, I have 94 and 95%. No, I'm talking about generally. I have the. Let me put it this way: there was a gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on CNN, and he went crazy over how well Trump was doing. Now, you don't put that on because I think CBS is a shade. Actually, CNN's a shade better than NBC. I think NBC is probably the worst of them all. But if you check CNN tomorrow, watch Harry Emden, and you'll see about the numbers. But that's okay. We have to defend ourselves, Joe.
I know, but there are other. They can cite. Your haters cite polls that have you down in the 30s, Mr. President. And,
but they're fake polls, Joe. I had a lot of fake polls. You also have me in the 70s. I have fake polls.
But I will say, Harry Enten, he said that, and it included Lowe's, I believe. But he also said, was Trump wearing a Banana Republic suit on Friday? Because firing the BLS head because you don't like the jobs number is the worst of Donald Trump. It's the conspiracy theory-laden part of Trump a la the 2020 election. And I would argue that Trump's most lasting impact or his biggest influence has been on Americans' ability to actually know what is true and what is honest. And that starts with the big lie of 2020 with nearly 6 in 10 Republicans.
I thought you were going to say the big lie of 2016.
No, it's a nice try. I know you guys are trying to rehab this. It's not going to work.
You're rehabbing something 4 years ago.
Nearly 60% of Republicans think that Joe Biden wasn't legitimately elected to be president, and Donald Trump is actually in the midst of what would be his third term. When you get a Bureau of Labor report, which was all well and good 2 months ago when you did like the number, and then you fire that person, that's authoritarian stuff. And that tells people that you can't trust the numbers. You can't trust anyone who works in government. He threatens news outlets for coverage he doesn't like. Look what CBS just has to do. The assault on academic freedom, on law firms who represent people that he doesn't like. And then just the straight up lying about what is in the legislation with the reconciliation bill and the millions that will lose their Medicaid coverage. And before you say something, Jesse, about how that's not true, it's just able-bodied people who don't want to go to work. Your favorite senator, second tier, maybe
again.
Josh.
Do me again.
Yeah, your imitation of him is
good.
Yeah.
I kind of got a double chin, though.
It's more small.
Anyway, millions are going to lose their health insurance because of that bill. And Donald Trump looks you in the eye through the camera and he says it's not true. The war on truth is his lasting legacy.
And it's all the sweeter when it's presented to the likes of Jesse Waters.
This is not a confessional. You're not going to come on and say, I was wrong about Trump. I burned the white dude for Harris hat. Are you still sticking with Harris?
Listen, I prefer that Kamala Harris for president right now. And honestly, I think a lot of Americans agree with me. Fox News' own polling has Donald Trump's approval rating cratering. He's negative 30% on the inflation. I think people are awfully frustrated with the leadership they're getting right now. Doesn't mean they like Democrats, but they're not happy with what they're getting.
Okay, so he just started off. You got to give the guy a shot. But you guys were so bad, he won in a landslide. Is anyone in the Democratic Party thinking maybe we could do things differently?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are doing the work of talking about how we build a new Democratic Party. Let's keep in mind Donald Trump didn't win in a landslide. He won by 185,000 votes in 3 swing states.
Well, he won every battleground. Are you saying that it was close? Are you saying it was close?
He won every battleground state, but the race itself was close. I think it would be a mistake for Republicans to assume that they have a landslide. Take a look at your own polling if you don't believe it.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.